YS Media Group.
At Kalashnikov News.
And I want to say a word today about gang stalking. Now, I've said in previous videos that I realize that no government is perfect. And the reason no government is perfect is because people are not perfect. And because people staff governments by proxy, governments are not going to be perfect. I understand that. Of transparency. People have a right to know what's going on. Okay? And especially with the advent of the World Wide Web, with websites
At
like
Kalashnikov News.
Now, I've said in previous videos, I realize that no government is perfect. And the reason no government is perfect is because people are not perfect. And because people staff governments by proxy, governments are not going to be perfect. I understand that. EIS Media Group. Of transparency. People have a right to know what's going on. Okay? And especially with the advent of the World Wide Web, with websites like Encyclopedia Britannica and Google and Yahoo. Encyclopedia Britannica and so many others. Host E.I. Smith, and I want to say a word tonight about intentional disease spreading, which is an actual thing here in the United States. Now, I'm not talking about a situation with some criminally I'm not talking about some homicidal nutcase going around intentionally infecting somebody as a part of a vigilante mission. I'm talking about orchestrated, staged, federally derived instances of a diseased person being signaled to a person's location with the intent of infecting that person. Now, I'm getting ready to move to a new location because a stalker just walked up as I was talking, obviously on some signal, and sat down trying to listen to what I'm talking about so he can go tell his henchmen later what I'm saying, be it on a phone or in a video. They don't know what I'm doing. They just hear me talking. So you could take a psychopathic degenerate nutcase who wants to go around and inflict diseases on as many people as he possibly can before he's caught, and dealt with. It's a situation where these things are being orchestrated and derived. And the question you might ask yourself is, do American federal auxiliaries participate in these types of activities? The answer is unequivocally yes. And I see it on a daily basis. You got guys being flagged using a system of signals, and then a number of human waste baskets accept missions to find whoever the target is, even though this diseased U.S. citizen doesn't know that person, and walk up to that person and using any number of bodily functions, including sneezes, coughs, yawns, and other disgusting gestures directly at the target with the intention of contaminating the target's air and getting that person sick for no reason other than simply to harm that person, to create a situation where he or she needs medical care and or incurs hospital bills. They also attack targeted people's medication. So for example, if you are made sick by a stalker who has taken a signal to your exact location with the intent of infecting you, they can contaminate your hospital visits. They can make it so that when you visit the hospital, of course they followed you to the hospital, and yes, using a similar system of signals, they can signal hospital staff to contaminate the instruments that they use for you and also deny you the medicine that you need. Yes, doctors in hospitals, particularly in ERs where it's a situation where it's a less controlled environment. In an ER, anyone goes there, anyone signs in, anyone checks in, anyone speaks to the nurses, speaks to the doctors, and then the transactions occur, up to and including the writing of the prescription. All of these things happen instantaneously in an ER as opposed to a primary care physician, which you have to set an appointment and go through those motions. In an ER, there are a lot of gang stalkers not only visiting ERs, but that staff ERs. Sometimes the people that visit the ERs signal the people who are staffed there and vice versa. Also, people who visit ERs signal other gang stalkers who are in the emergency room, and the staff in the emergency room can signal one another. Now, the reason that you see a lot of this signaling activity, this disruptive activity, this disgusting activity, this homicidal activity inside of hospitals is because, or inside of ERs per se, is because gang stalking is what I like to call an open source disruption program. It's open source. It's open source. It's kind of like, think of one of the popular open source video games that came out in the last 10 years. World of Warcraft comes to mind, where you have a character and you can go anywhere in the World of Warcraft universe you want to, and so can other people. There's no restrictions. Okay? That's how gang stalking is. It's open source. Any gang stalker can go anywhere in the country they want to at the drop of a dime and at their own discretion. While they're traveling, they happen to come across other gang stalkers that use the same signals that they use. They can send signals back and forth and choose to accept the signal or not accept the signal. All the signals lead to a targeted individual, all of them. There are no signals that are thrown between gang stalkers that do not lead to a targeted individual. So when you're in a hospital and these stalkers start chucking signals at each other and using verbal commands and cues and physical gestures and so forth, the goal is to agitate and or disrupt a target. They're not doing it for fun. It's not like a game of chess or checkers. Let's see who can throw the best signal. It's let us find this target. Let us disrupt this target. Let us harm this target, even in a hospital. Okay? And it is not just the physical agitation of the target in the hospital. It is the denial of proper medical care. Okay? It's a violation of the Hippocratic Oath that doctors have to take. It's a violation of civil liberties. It's assault. And it's violent, felonious criminalism. Okay? While you're approaching the hospital. You don't have to be inside the hospital. They can signal each other from the parking lot. And then when you get inside, all chaos will erupt. And it is nothing the target is doing wrong. There is nothing illegal about seeking medical care. Okay? The crime comes in when people who have followed you to the hospital in cars, okay, signaling one another using this semi-complex signaling mechanism. Okay? And then when inside the doctors and nurses, they follow suit. And the goal is to harm the target. As I've said in previous videos, gang stalking is state-sanctioned murder. It's the population protocols. It's population control protocols. It's eugenics. Okay, it's a violation of civil rights, and it's basically a lot of people getting back at other people for various instances of a perceived slight. It is extremely thuggish, and I'm sorry that I hate that the American taxpayer has to issue money out of their paychecks to fund the federal auxiliaries that orchestrate this garbage.
Welcome.
Gang stalking. Now, I've said in previous videos that I realize and the reason no government is perfect is because people are not perfect. And because people staff governments by proxy, governments are not going to be perfect. I understand that. Of transparency. People have a right to know what's going on. Okay? And especially with the advent of the World Wide Web, with websites like
Welcome. Gang stalking. Now, I've said in previous videos that I realize that no government is perfect. And the reason no government is perfect is because people are not perfect. And because people staff governments by proxy, governments are not going to be perfect. I understand that.
especially with the advent of the World Wide Web, with websites like Encyclopedia Britannica and Google and Yahoo. Encyclopedia Britannica and so many others. People have more access to information than they ever have before. There is not a single governmental topic or historical topic or political topic that is not searchable by the general public. So what that means is
3, 2,
it would behoove
1.
any government to inform the people of what is happening. Because if the people are not informed and they see something bad happening, like, for example, gang stalking, and they go online and do a search and they find information on it and they compare the information to what they're experiencing and then do as I have done and compare the information to past historical regimes, for example, Adolf Hitler's Schutzstaffel and Joseph Stalin's People's Commissariat of Internal Affairs, eventually you'll come to the realization that, yeah, gang stalking is a political problem. This isn't a societal ill. This is a political problem. And quite frankly, it's not right to throw people in the garbage can because you don't. We have the theory of creation, but ultimately, people don't know exactly how we got here, and quite frankly, we weren't meant to know exactly why we got here. Your faith in whatever creator you believe in will sustain you, okay? We don't know the science behind why and how people were created, but that does not have to stop you from living your best life. And quite frankly, if you are a government representative, okay, especially one bound by a constitution, especially one bound by a Bill of Rights, especially one that calls itself a constitutional republic, you should know better than to impose something like gang stalking on the people, because first of all, what do you think? We're not going to find out? I mean, especially a guy like me, I'll research anything. Of course, I'm the wrong one to do it to. So I believe I've demonstrated that, and I've also believed that I've demonstrated that I value my inalienable rights. What are inalienable rights? Those are the rights that are granted to you by God or nature. Now, I'll reiterate. If you can't tell me how I got here, you have no right to take my rights from me. I was born into this world by an act of either God or nature. Host Emmanuel Isaiah Smith, and I am live in Miami, Florida, and I want to talk to you about the financial aspect of gang stalking. The military-industrial complex receives $2 trillion a year, courtesy of the taxpayer, for its operations at home and overseas. $2 trillion a year is what the Congress Industrial Complex, out of a sense of necessity. I think that the American legislative mechanism at the federal level understands and recognizes that America has both allies and detractors. The
The allies are foreign countries, the detractors are foreign countries. It feels it needs to spend $2 trillion a year on. That is not my issue. My issue is not with the spending of $2 trillion a year to keep the United States citizenry safe. My problem is that part of that $2 trillion goes into a disgusting, violent, and hateful mechanism called gang stalking, in which federally enabled mobs of degenerates use a system of verbal cues, vehicular maneuvers, and gestures to point out a targeted person, in which will be approached by the stalkers. Now let me tell you how signaling works. Signaling works when a person sends a signal to a group of people concerning a person. So if you're sitting in a mall and you're a gang stalkers around you that want to see you verbally, psychologically, or physically attacked by fellow stalkers, they'll send some sort of a physical gesture your way or a verbal command that is supposed to be indicative of you as the target. As soon as these signals are made, then stalkers descend upon the target hostile or disgusting ways. Now, there's a lot of technology that goes into a gang stalking campaign. There's Stingray devices that track the cellular location of the target. There's GPS interceptors, there's e-message interceptors. There are various unseen technological factors that are used against the targeted person in order to keep them in the vicinity of gang stalkers and vice versa. There's a whole host of psychological stressors that are used as well. And the goal of this is to harm the target in both short-term ways and in long-term ways. And no, if a targeted individual is disadvantaged or otherwise harmed by this program, they have not lost. They are the underdog, and they stand to win the conflict. The conflict is not won by the stalkers because they are vast in numbers, and they are equipped in ways that the targeted person is not equipped. Furthermore, they have no ends to their activity. The only goal of gang stalkers' activity is to cause any kind of harm or cause any kind of annoyance to the target. That's it. The stalkers themselves are not totally aware of any end goal that is supposed to befall a target. However, the end goal is supposed to be the shaving of years off of a target's life due to psychological stressors, and it is also to render that person destitute in some kind of way due to the workplace mobbing mechanism, which leaves the target unable to work because of stalking experienced at their jobs. Now, there are a number of clandestine psychological or psychiatric protocols that are supposed to make it so that the targeted person cannot effectively communicate what it is they're experiencing, because they will be called schizophrenic, or they will be called psychotic, or some other, to communicate about a program that obviously has a federal governmental harassment mechanisms attached to it, psychotic or a psycho or schizophrenic or what have you, is an insult to that person. It's an insult to their intelligence. It's an insult to their well-being. It's an insult to their very existence. A number of the old Greek philosophers used to say that you can only control yourself and not external factors. But mind you, that was 2,000 years ago. In 2024, you can control external factors, especially in a country that bills itself as a democracy and a constitutional republic, which during the course of the gang stalking conundrum, particularly over the past 20 years, the United States has not been a demure constitutional republic because the taxpayers can neither vote on the implementation of gang stalking, nor is anything that this gang stalking program imposes upon a target constitutional. So I'm going to leave it there at the present time, and I'll be back at some point in the future in some capacity.
Welcome.
Gang stalking. Now, I've said in previous videos that I realize that no government is perfect. And the reason no government is perfect is because people are not perfect. And because people staff governments by proxy, governments are not going to be perfect. I understand that. Of transparency. The people have a right to know what's going on. Okay? And especially with the advent of the World Wide Web, with websites like Encyclopedia Britannica and Google and Yahoo, Encyclopedia Britannica, and so many others, people have more access to information than they ever have before. There is not a single governmental topic or historical topic or political topic that is not searchable by the general public. So what that means is
3, 2,
it would behoove
1.
any government to inform the people of what is happening. Because if the people are not informed and they see something bad happening, like, for example, gang stalking, and they go online and do a search and they find information on it and they compare the information to what they're experiencing and then do as I have done and compare the information to past historical regimes, for example, Adolf Hitler's Schutzstaffel and Joseph Stalin's People's Commissariat of Internal Affairs, eventually you'll come to the realization that, yeah, gang stalking is a political problem. This isn't a societal ill. This is a political problem. And quite frankly, it's not right to throw people in the garbage can because you don't. We have the theory of creation, but ultimately, people don't know exactly how we got here, and quite frankly, we weren't meant to know exactly why we got here. Your faith in whatever creator you believe in will sustain you
Okay? We don't know the science behind why and how people were created. But that does not have to stop you from living your best life. And quite frankly, if you are a government representative, okay, especially one bound by a constitution, especially one bound by a Bill of Rights, especially one that calls itself a constitutional republic, you should know better than to impose something like gang stalking on the people, because first of all, what do you think? We're not going to find out? I mean, especially a guy like me, I'll research anything. Of course, I'm the wrong one to do it to. So I believe I've demonstrated that, and I've also believed that I've demonstrated that I value my inalienable rights. What are inalienable rights? Those are the rights that are granted to you by God or nature. Now, I'll reiterate, if you can't tell me how I got here, you have no right to take my rights from me. I was born into this world by an act of either God or nature.